took 3 tries. But over here I have another book by my favorite photographer, Josef, because he's Czech, Koudelka, and this one is Gypsies. And so this is the kind of blurb. So this is a blurb that's on the inside of the dust cover. This book is a revised and enlarged version of the original maquette for Josef Koudelka's Chicani, Czech for Gypsies, prepared by Koudelka and graphic designer Milan Kopriva in 1968 and intended for publication in Prague in 1970. This book was never published in that original form. This extended version consists of 109 photographs, blah blah. And also it does address the title of the book. The word gypsy is the common name for this group when the photographs were taken between 1962 and 1971 before the current term Roma, which is generally considered to be more respectful and more respectful, was established as used as the book title. I just like that all of his photographs are so blatant and blunt. And they're all in black and white. And they really match the aesthetic that I really like, which is kind of like this, just a blank background or a very simple background with a solitary subject that is very obviously where you're supposed to be looking at. Exactly this. And I also really like when there's a very obvious thing or person that you're supposed to be looking at, but you can't even look at it. Like this, where all the faces are so obscured by the shadows. I also really like this one. They also tell you where these photos were taken, mostly in Slovakia. This is not the picture, but this is a really good one also. And I think it's just so boring when you describe a photo in words. Ah, there we go. is the spread with the 3 people over here and the wrapped up violin on the opposite page. And I have another book, like a monograph on Josef Koudelka himself. And in the back there is an interview with him. And there's also some of his best photos, I guess, as decided by the editor or the publisher. And the interviewer here asked if he was influenced by painting. And he said, when I lived in Czechoslovakia, I didn't know much about art. This changed after I left. And I like that. Because you end up with photographs and everything that is just so untouched by what was made before, I guess. And over here, when he's talking about the book Gypsies, the book was published in 1975, both in Paris by Delpire under the name Gitans, La Fin du Voyage, and in New York by Aperture, and also the special edition Gypsies by the Museum of Modern Art. When it came out, it was a nice feeling to hold it in my hands, but I felt like a prostitute. I said to myself that until then I had only shown these photographs to friends and the people I've chosen, but now anybody who had the money could have them. And over here he talks about leaving Czechoslovakia. My father, a tailor, a simple man, always told me that if he'd been young like me, he wouldn't have stayed. In the end, both my sister and I left. For our parents, that wasn't easy, but I remember when I left the village at the age of 14 to study in Prague, my father said, "Go and show what you're made of, the world is yours." And over here to the question, what did you think about the West after you left Prague? I've always considered myself lucky to have been born in Czechoslovakia so that I didn't get used to certain things that are taken for granted in the West. I left Czechoslovakia when I was already a man. I was 32. I was strong, healthy, and not naive. I had my opinions about things. I didn't need a car and all the things most people had. Unlike us, Western photographers had passports who could go wherever they wanted. They had more money, more opportunities, but often they didn't go unless somebody paid and got everything ready for them. At least that's how I saw it back then. I decided to try not to conform. I wanted to stay different and keep my healthy anger as long as possible. I think I like artists that feel exactly how I feel and believe in the same things that I do, believe in the same attitudes that I do. Over here, the question, what would you say to people who describe your attitude as selfish or ambitious? The answer, everybody has a right to think what he wants. I know who I am. I don't do what I do in order to make somebody like me or to prove something to someone or to be the best. I do it for myself, for my own satisfaction. I want to find my limits to see how far I can go. And the question, you say you know who you are. Who are you? The answer, I can't put it into words. I think I know how I'll behave when I find myself in certain situations. That's enough for me. And this is my all-time favorite photo of his. This one with the dog. And you can't tell if all the figures in the background are trees or people, or what the circle is in the center, or where the whole road or the whole plane leads to at the end.